Hello again, my name is Emmanuel Bakari, and this time we'll be talking about file IO. That's Python input and output library. Input is a way to get things into your computer, and output is a way to get data out of the computer. Input device can be keyboard, can be mouse, can be scanner, can be a file. An output device can be your screen, your printer, and file. Over the time, we've used the print command to output results of our program onto the standard console. So we've been using print hello world, for instance, and then we'll see that result on the computer screen. We've also used input commands to take input from the keyboard. Right here is an input and output code. This does the input on your keyboard, and this does the output to your standard console. So the standard console is not always enough as a means to print out or input device. Python provides the file IO inbuilt library for reading and writing to file. So Python makes file handling very easy compared to other programming language that are quite complicated. They have complicated implementation. The file IO allows you to input data into a file as a text, or input data into a file in binary mode, or it allows you to output data from a file as text and also access binary file. So it has these two modes, text and binary mode. Python provides operations mode like read, write, create, append, close operations. These are file access mode for Python. So use the open command to open a file for reading and writing. So this is the syntax. You use open file, open, then you put in the file path right here, and then the file mode. If you want to read from the file myfile1.txt, you say open myfile1.txt, read the mode, and then that is stored into a file object. These are the read modes, the access modes that are available for Python. We have the read mode, we have the write mode, and then we have the append mode. These are the major modes: read mode, write mode, and append mode. The read mode is the same thing as RT. You can use RT, WT, and AT. That is, by default, it writes in text mode. Then if you don't want to use text mode, then you can do RB. So we have read mode for binary, read mode for write mode for binary, and append mode for binary, like we have a W and R also. And then if you want to read and write, you can read and write using the plus sign, but it works like read. If you want to read and write using the write mode, you add a plus. You want to append and read, you use the A plus. So the plus does both operations. If it's read, it uses the way read does its work to do read and write. And if it's write, it uses the way write does its work to do read and write. So basically, you see we have 12 right here, but they are so easy to understand. And this is important for you to know. Let's take a little example of reading from a file. We can define, let me call this example one, a file object. Open the file myfile1.txt. This opens a file for read. This is the same thing as adding the access mode of read or RT. This works the same way, and with T it works the same way, or because this is the default, it works the same way. So I'm just gonna do read mode. So you see the mode we're working with. This file actually exists in the same folder I am writing this code in. You can see there's a file called myfile1 here. It has some text in it. So I'm reading the file. After doing the read, I can now print out what I just read. File object, that's the object, and then I'll do read on it. That is read out what you just opened. You can see here it reads out the output of that file. Let me do a print. So you see output of file one, then it reads out this output for me. You must remember to close your file. You reference the file object again and then you put close. So this close the file. It takes the file from the memory. Now, why do we need to close a file? If you don't close a file, it slows down your computer. Just imagine opening several browsers or opening several Microsoft Word on your computer. It occupies memory and then it slows down your computer. A write file may not write to disk until it is closed. If you write into a file, it's not all the time that it writes all the content into the disk. It actually writes it into the memory. Many times it waits for you to close the file before it actually writes all the file to the disk. So you need to use the close command on your file object to be able to have a full written file using the write mode. It's a good programming practice. You should do that as a good programmer. Your computer has a limit. The OS, depending on the OS you're using, it has a limit on the number of files that can be opened. So imagine you opening several files and not closing them. This becomes a problem. Open file in Windows are locked and private. So while file is open, you cannot read and write to it. So if you leave a file open, you can read onto it, you can write onto it. If it is open, for instance, a file that you need to be, doing some backup at the background, you can do that because it's locked. It's locked and it's made private. All the files, some programs will not be able to access it or work with it. File is usually managed by the Python garbage collector. If you don't close your file, the Python garbage collector will try to close it for you. It does it randomly, sometimes quickly, sometimes it takes a long time before the file closes, and sometimes those files are never closed. You don't want to leave that to chance. So having said that, the truth is many programmers will forget to close their file. That's why Python gives a garbage collector to help to do that. But Python provides an easier way to open a file and work with the file and not bother about closing it. Let's do another example. What Python do is it uses the with keyword to open the file. So you say with. I'm going to do the same thing I did right now. I'm going to open my file one again, my file one.txt. I'm going to open it for read as file objects, just the same way we do here. The name of the file, this is going to open it into here. Let me just use the word file. I prefer the word file. Then put a column, and then the file is opened. Of course, you can print out file.read. It's going to do the same thing. Okay, let me just pick this and bring it down here so we can have exactly the same code. So this is exactly the same code like we did here. But right here, I'm not using a close method. The close method is not used because I use the with method. When you're using the with method, the file object remains open. This file object will remain open for all the codes that are underneath the with block. The moment you exit the with, say you print right from here, the file object is closed. The moment I get out of the with block, the file becomes closed. Now let's use a variable that can help you to check that. That will be file closed. This returns a boolean saying if the file is closed or not. So is file closed? Let me just write here, is file closed. So I do is file closed. Let me remove this one. So is outputting these, is printing if the file is closed. Okay, let me print out the output. Print file.read. This first line prints out output of file 1. This second line prints out all this. Then this third line print is file closed, and then it returns false. So whatever we do in this block, the file will be open. Now, if I do this right now out of the block, can you see it's file closed? True. So while you are in the block, the file will be opened until you are out of the block. So Python will close the file for you when you get out of the block. Let's take another example where we open file 1 again as file. That's the file object. And like we showed you, you can just print the file and read out the content of the file. The open is like opening a Word document, and then the read is like reading a particular file on the Word document. This read reads all the file in one go, but you can decide to read it one at a time. Let me comment this out, and we can do for line in file, that is read each line of the file, and then I can print out each content in the line. So it reads every line in the file. It reads this first line, then it goes again and read the second line until it reads to the last line. And one thing you notice here is that it's not printing the way it was printing before. Now it's putting an extra line in between the lines. Let me comment this out and show you how it was before. This is how it was printing out. I mean, this is the representation of what we have here. But right now, when you print each line, it's print out leaving gaps. This is because each line has a carriage return. Though you're not seeing it here, but it actually has a carriage return, a \n at the back of each line. The \n is as if you pressed an enter, and that is why when it prints here, it prints a line, it adds the carriage return. So it's like you type this out, you press enter, type this out, and then you press another enter, and then you type this out, you press another return key. So that is why it's printing out this way. Well, if you want to take out all that, you then have to use the string strip method, and you say strip out the \n, and you'll see right here it's printing out the way it's supposed to print it out, because I'm stripping out the last \n that is automatically attached to it. So if I can print out each line, then I can actually manipulate the content of each of the line. So let's add a line number to it. So I'm going to initialize a line number. And right here, I'll say line number plus equals 1. So I'm increasing the line number as I loop through, and in here I'm just gonna add the line num. So right now you see it's having line number before all the contents, and this is exactly how it is displayed in the editor file itself. You can see it has line numbers all by the side, and in our code here we also did the same thing. We added line number to the content that is displayed. File read will read out all the lines, but I can actually read out just some characters in the line. So in this place, I can just read out 50 characters. So it's going to read out only 50 characters, 10 characters. It's going to read out only 10 characters from that. Another read that we can use is the readline command. Readline command doesn't take in a parameter, but it reads just the line. Read line. So it's more like, using the for statement to loop through the line. We also have the read lines. What read lines does, it reads all the file and store the result of the file you read into a list. This you should do when the file is small, because it actually reads everything into your memory. So if you have a very big file, that will give you a lot of memory issues. So if I say read lines my list, so it stores each item in a list. Print my list. So you see it is a list. Here you can actually see how each line is done. You can see that there is a \n at the back of each line. All right, so let's look at some important method that file provides. On opening a file, a pointer is created. You know, we talked about pointer when we were defining all the access mode. On opening a file, a pointer is created which reads the file starting from the beginning or at the end, depending on where you want. But like I said, the pointer is like the cursor. Where the cursor is, where you start reading. The pointer, when you read, starts from here. When you write, starts from the beginning. When you're appending, the pointer is at the end. Of course, if you want to append document, you're gonna be appending the document at the end of the file. So the pointer starts at index 0. Index 0. So if you want to see your pointer, let me open up a file and print out a pointer. You use the method called tell. Let's do an example. Tell will tell you exactly where the pointer is. So I'm going to print out pointer at, so we'll say file, that's the file object dot tell. So it tells me that it is at index 0. Pointer at index 0. Now, if you want to move your pointer to a particular position in your document, you use the seek method. Now, what seek does is it moves. It's like taking your cursor and placing it here. You just did a seek. So you seek to a particular position in your file. I'm going to do file seek 50. Now seek 50 means move to line 50. Now if I check my pointer now, if I print out my pointer, you see it said my pointer right now is at 50. Initially it was at 0. That starts at the beginning of the document, but now it's somewhere in the document, is on line 50. If you read, it drops the file pointer at the position where you read to. So let's say I read 50 characters. So it's going to read all these out. It actually does this. It reads and stops here. Now the pointer is here. You see, the cursor actually is the pointer. So if I say, now tell me where the pointer is, I'm going to double click, do this right now. I said, tell me where the pointer is actually showing me that the pointer is at 52. Now, why did he add the 2 up there? Because it also reads the 2 characters and the carriage returns. That's why you have 52 there. So I did read this, and if I read these again, you see, it's not going to start at the beginning. This is same code. Okay, let me remove this. When I read this, this is what came out. You see that? But when I did the same code, this is what came out. So majorly, what this means is that when you're reading a file, the pointer is at this point. You read through the first 50. The pointer is at this point. When you say read again, it's going to start reading from E. That's what you saw here. Because this is where the pointer is. This is where it's going to start reading from. It read to this point, to the space here. When we said 50 again, it started reading from here, and let it S, and then it stopped at this place. So you see, you need to put this in mind. When it reads down. If you want to see where the pointer is, when I read the first one, the pointer is at 52. When I read the second one, the pointer is at 104. So it's actually increasing the pointer. So if I do another read here, let me put the pointer again. If I do another read, this read from point of 156, we'll read this out. Now, if I try to read again, you see, we stopped at let it shine. If I try to read again, It's not going to give me any other results because actually it is the pointer is at this point, and so you're just trying to read the blanks. There is nothing there. It's not going to give me any other result because I have gotten to the end of the file. It has read to the last. The end of the file is 156. If you want to tell where you are, like I said, you use the tell command. I can pick this now and put it in between. It's going to tell me, okay, the last pointer is at 188. If I put this here, it's still saying it's at 188 because that's the end of the document. At the end of the document, you are unable to read any other file because there is no other thing to read. We're going to take an example. And in the example, we're going to search for word in a file called my file 1.txt using input from the terminal. If you check my file 1.txt, you'll find some text written in it. So we're going to go and get that file. So we'll say with open for read as file, and then we're going to loop through each line of the file for line in file. If we print out the content of the file, each line is going to give us just the line. Each of the content of the file will be displayed. Now, I would like to put a line number on it. So I'm going to say 0, code line 0, and code line plus equals to 1. And then I would add code line here. So right here, it prints line numbers on my output. So if I want to check a specific word from each line item, I'm going to do if, say I want to search for the word shine in that line. So it should only print out if there is shine in each of the line it searches for. So it search each line and see if there is a shine in the line, then it prints it out. So you can do light. There is light there. I'm going to put it in a variable instead of just hard coding it. So light, and I'm going to change this to search. So the variable I can change from here, say shine again. It's going to give me all the content that has shine. Like I earlier said, I wouldn't want to hard code it. I want to take in an input where I'll put in the word, enter your search. It takes in a word from the keyboard and searches for that word in my file.txt and then print it out. And then it also print out the content. So don't look at this place because a REPL doesn't really work with input. So I'm going to stop this and I'm going to use the terminal. So you can click the terminal here. I'm going to use the terminal and run this code from the terminal, which is Python read.py. Now it's asking for a text, so I'm going to say shine. I'm looking for shine. Yeah. And it prints out all the contents. It prints out all the appearances of shine. If I run the code again and I say light, yeah, it prints out the occurrences of light. It says light is on line 1. As you would notice, every time I run the Python read.py, it only allows me to enter once and then it exits out of the program. I would like for it to be able to keep asking me if I want to search for another word in the file. So to do that, I'm going to put a while loop. I'll just say while true. In my while true, I'm saying as long as you keep entering, you get to the end of the code, it should go back. It should keep doing this. It's going to be doing this like forever. So there is no way you can break out of this code. To be able to break out, I'm going to say if not the length of search, then break. Now, what this code means is that length of search will, if you type anything in search, when it asks us to search, you use the word length to actually get the character length of whatever you search. If you're not entering anything, that means length will be 0. So I'm saying if not length, that is, if it is 0, if there is nothing typed in search, then it should break out of the loop. So let's try this code again, though there is a little issue with this code, but let's try it and then we'll see what the problem is. So I'll say, let's do shine. Yeah, shine shows us results, and then instead of exiting the code, you can see it comes back and say enter your search. It's asking me to enter another search, so I can do light. But you will see right now that the light is not bringing out another input. If I even do shine, it's not bringing out results, because at the first instance it ran through this code, it has moved through the my file one and it's gotten to the end of the file. So the next search you do will not bring out any result, because it will want to search like just this empty space. So what you need to do is to, after running through this loop, it should return the cursor back to the beginning. After doing a search, when it gets to the end of the search, then to do another search, it should return the cursor back to the beginning of the file. So to do that, you will exit out of the loop that moves the cursor to the end of the file, and then you will say file.seek 0. That is returned back to the beginning of the file. So I'm going to do it again. So let's search for light. You can see there is light, and I'm going to do search. It's not going to bring out anything because there is no search there, but let's do shine. Yeah, it's bringing out stuff. Let's do light again. Yeah, it's bringing out stuff. Let's do gunner. So it's bringing out the stuff, but you would notice that we don't have up to 30 lines in this code. So it's not, it keeps increasing the code line. So this is not depicting the right location of where this item that is found out. So to exit out of this loop, I'm just going to press enter. When I press enter, that means I'm not putting in anything. So it's going to run this code and break out of the loop, and then it's going to terminate the program. So you can see it terminates the program because I just pressed the enter key. So to reinitialize the code line that keeps increasing here, all I'll do is I'm going to do code line equals to 0 again. So at this point, code line becomes 0. So let's run this again. Shine. Yeah, it's bringing out stuff with shine. Let's do gunner. Yep, it's bringing out stuff with gunner, and you would see that the numbers are no longer, it's not increasing. Let's do shine again. Yeah, it's bringing out stuff with shine, just exactly the numbers that it showed initially. Let's do light. Light is in number 1. Let's do light again. Light is in number 1. So the code is running perfectly well, and then you can press enter to exit the code. Instead of using the enter key to exit out of the code, you can use whatever character you like. So I can come here and say, maybe when you do a search, it should check whatever you enter to decide if it is an exit code or not. So I'm going to say if search is not equals to, I will use exit. This is usually how we exit from the Python shell. I'm going to declare search as nothing here because I have called search. So I'm going to declare search as nothing. Let me comment this code so that we can have this being the only thing that exit the code. So let's run it again. I'll do shine. Yeah, shine works. Light. Let's press enter. Enter will not exit out of the code. So if you want to exit out of the code, you're going to do exit. In fact, if you type exit alone, it's still not going to exit out of it unless you type exit the parentheses. So it exits out of the code. Now let's take a look at the write. We've done a lot of read. Let's look at write. You can do almost all you do with read. You can use seek. You can use tell. The write mode is W plus to read and write. WB for binary. WB plus for binary read write. The write operation will overwrite a file if it exists, and if not, it creates a new one. I have a file here called my file text tool. It contains all this. Okay, so that's the file I'm going to use. So let's just start, writing it out the way we write out. Like I said, it's always good to use the with so that the computer can help you do the closing. So I'm going to say file 2.txt, and then I'm going to put it in the write mode as file. So I want to write into this file. So the command for write is write. So I'm going to write record on line 1. Write another one. I did a mistake. I was supposed to type my file 2, but I typed file 2. Write will create another file. So you need to be careful so that you would not make a mistake of writing to a wrong file. So you see right here, it created another file. I was intending to work with this file, but because I'm using write now, I'm using write, and write is going to create another file if it doesn't find that file. So right here, if you check file, it has record on line 1, record on line 2. It has it all together because that's what it's going to do. I didn't put a line break. So if I want to put a line break, I can do this line break. So with the line breaks, you'll have your code this way. So I'm just going to work with the file 2.txt. Now, if I create another file, do another read, that is, I close it and I create and open up another one, and I say 4, 5, 6. What do you think it's going to do? Now, as long as the file is opened, it's going to open it and write in this, and this. But at this point, the file is closed, and then we opened it again. And then we wrote this, and this. So what do you think it's going to do? Is it going to be record 1, 2, 6, or what do you think? Okay, let's look at it. It only has record 4, 5, and 6, because when you use the write, it opens. It looked for the file you want to work with, and then it overwrite the file. So right here, initially we had 1, 2, 3. The moment we created this one, it overwrote what we had in this place. Okay, let me do it one more time. Let's put it back to the normal file and check what is. You see, it says record number 1, 2, 3. Now, if I now do this, is going to overwrite it because I have closed it and I'm opening it again. So, and with the overwrite, you're going to see record 4, 5, 6. Now that's different from if I let me take all this up now. Now, because it's opened, and highlight this, because it's all under one open command, it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what it's going to show here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to write it out under that one command. But the moment it opens it again, is only going to show you those records 4, 5, 6. So that's how the write operation works. So apart from using the write operation, we also have the read write, that is the W plus. I'm going to do W plus here, and that means I can write and I can read at the same time. I can come here right now and say file. Okay, I'm just going to print it out. Print out file.read. You know how file.read does. So it's going to read out what is here. But the thing is actually not showing anything. If you look at the file here, it has all the stuffs in it, but right here is not showing anything. If you remember what I told you, while he was writing, he started writing from here. He wrote this one, wrote this one. Just look at the cursor. Wrote this, wrote this, wrote this, and then wrote this. Sorry, wrote out this one, and now the cursor is here. Now, when you try to read, you're reading from the last point where the cursor is. Let me print out file to tell us where the cursor is. The tell command is telling me that it is 108. That is at the end of the file. So what do you think you will do right here to be able to read all the files out? Simple. You got it. Just say seek back to 0. That is after writing out all this, the cursor here, return the cursor from here to this place, then you read. So seek to 0, you see it has all the output. So you need to be careful while you're doing your read write. You need to seek back to where you want to read, or back to where you want to write. Read plus also works like write plus. It overwrite the content of the file. Now right here we have file2.txt, and in file2.txt we have this content. This is file2.txt here. Just to make it intuitive, I want to put a print command here that shows file2.txt. If I want to rewrite this content again, I want to open this file again and write back into it. I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to say file2.txt again, so you can see it right here. So what I just did right now is I opened file2.txt and I added all this content to it. I read it, and this is what it shows. It opens up this to this point. You will see in file2.txt will be all this content. Then again, I closed it, I reopened it again. File2.txt already contains all this, and then I did a write again. Now this time, because I did a write again and I only wrote in one content, what you would see is that it will only contain this. It's going to overwrite, it's going to replace everything in file2.txt to this. If you open file2.txt, you will only find one record. The difference between using the read and the write plus is that for read plus, it's not going to replace everything. It's only going to replace the number of lines that are changing. Let me change this to say the content that is replaced to side 1. Now right here, using the write, you can see the content changes to side 1. That's the only thing that will be in file2.txt. But if I change to read plus, you can see right here, it has all the contents. All these contents are there. And then it changes only the lines, only the number of characters that are here. SIDE space 1. That's what it changes. It changes only this one, and then of course the /n is to do a new number, a new line. So right here you will see it came down to a new line and then wrote out the rest of the content. Let me take out the new line so you'll see. Maybe that will make more sense. Now I have only side 1 in this place, so you see it wrote out side 1, replacing only those characters. If I do another one, side 2, it's going to just be replacing only those characters. The last file mode is the append mode. The append mode allows you to append to a file, append and also read and write, and then append binary. Same thing with append binary, read and write. The difference in this is that when you have a record, whatever record you have, let me highlight this so I can have only this code here. When it is a read starts from the file pointer 0. It starts from here, more like cursor starts from the beginning. If you're doing a write starts also from the beginning. But if you are doing an append starts from the end of the file at this point. Let's check this out in this example. I'm I'm going to change this to just A. This is to read. This is to append. If you see here, there is an error saying it is unreadable. This is because if I have just A, it can only append, but I can't read the file opened. I can't read the file, so I need to check the file. It has done what it needs to do, but I can't read the file. If I want to read the file, it has to be A+. So look at it here. I just added side 1. This is what I added here. I did this, all this, then I added I wrote in a new line, which is side 1. Like I said again, if it was a read, it's going to be overwriting from here, from the beginning. But being a write is going to start from the end of the file. That's the difference between the two. That's the difference between the two. So let's use the A+, the append plus, so we can see our outputs here. And so with the A+, I can seek and read the content. I can read the content also. So A+, as you can see right here, it has side 1, adding side 1 to the last item in file 2.txt. If I add another one here, it's going to add side 1 and side 2. It will keep, populating the content of the file. I did it this way so you can, just get a grasp of it. So you wouldn't make this error. If I take out this code, if I take out this code now, you would notice every time it runs, it adds a new item. So it looks at what is in file 2. Right now, this is what is in file 2, side 1, this content. And if I run it again, it's going to add these 2 items again to the content. So let me run it again. You see, this is generally what it does. It keeps adding item, populating the item using the add plus, using the append plus. Let's take another example where we type text from the command line into a file. So I'm going to do wait open, and I'm going to write to a file called file22.txt, and I'm going to open it for write as file. Now I want the inputs to come from the command line, so I'm going to take the inputs from the command line, and the description will be enter your text. And having gotten that, then I will write that text. So it allows me to enter the text, and then it writes it into file 22.txt. And I'm going to be entering this command from the command line. You can open your command line from terminal, new terminal, or you can just click it. If you have it already opened, you can click it, or you can press Ctrl tilde. Tilde is the key behind your escape key. And then I have this file read.py stored under a folder called file IO. So I'm just going to move into that file IO folder, and then I'm going to run the file read.py. So right now, read.py will ask me to enter a text. So I'm just going to say I am entering something. Now this will be written into file 22.txt. So let's look at the content of file 22.txt. You can see right here we have I am entering something. Now I would like to make it a little bit better. So what I want to do is to be able to keep entering text so that it won't just be one entry and then it comes out. So I'm going to do a while true. While true means as long as I keep entering this text, keep writing in it. The trouble with this is that it's not going to ever stop because there is no way to break out of this loop. I'm going to say if the length of the text, or I'll rather say if not the length of the text. If not the length of the text means if this text does not have a length, that is, there is nothing written in there, then it should break out of the loop. Let's run the code again. So Python read.py is going to ask me to enter something. I am entering something. You see, it loops again and asks me to enter another thing. So I'll say subscribe to my channel, the best Python tutor ever. So if I want to get out of this, I'm just going to press another enter. That is, I'm not entering anything. So it comes out of the code. Now, if you check file 22, you're going to have all this mobile together. All the text is here. I am entering something. Subscribe to my channel, the best Python ever. This is not very well done. I would rather want it to be written this way. So, and as you can guess, that is putting a line break. To make sure it doesn't mobile up all the writing, I'm going to put file.write. I'm going to write a new line in here. So it does the reading and then it writes a new line. So let's run the code one more time. This is the best Python tutorial online. Please subscribe to my channel. Go to YouTube. You'll find me there. Okay, so just enter whatever text and then it writes this content into file 22.txt, and now it puts a line break. There is a line break at the end of each of the line in the file. I can also have it print out whatever I write in immediately after I have typed it. So what I'm going to do is that I will come out of the loop. This is out of the loop, and then I will print file 22.txt output. I just want to use this one as a description. And, you know, as I keep entering, it's going to be putting the cursor at the end of the line. So what I need to do in this case, we've done this, is to seek back to the beginning of the file. That is, I want to start reading from the beginning of the file. Then I'm going to print out file.read. Now, this is not going to work the way it is expected to, and I don't know if you could guess what the problem is, but let's give it a try. And so we'll say line 1, line 2, line 3. Yeah, it's not going to work because I'm using only a write. Write only will write but will not allow you to read while the file is opened. So if you want to be able to read and write, you're going to do W+. So let's run the code again, and then I can say line 1, line 2, something here, something there. So you see right now, it read those lines and then it printed them out also. So this is the content of file txt output right here. Of course, you can also look at the file itself and you will see the contents there. Welcome back to this tutorial, and this time we're going to be looking at binary files using the WB access mode. We're going to be doing it using an example in which we'll be downloading an image from the internet. And to do that, we're going to be importing a module called the request module. This is a very popular module. If you don't have it yet, you can just come on your terminal and say pip install requests. I already have it installed, so it's going to say the requirement has been satisfied. If you don't have it yet, it's going to install the request module for you. So I will import the request module here. The request module gives me the ability to download or to post something onto the internet. It does a whole lot of stuff. You can check it out. To get something from the internet using the request module, you will be calling the get method among other methods. So if you want to get something, you just say use the get method, and you can now store it into a variable. In this instance, I want to call that variable image or img. The parameter it receives is the URL that the image exists in. So we're going to be going to the internet to download an image. I have my browser opened, so I want to look for a mountain image. So I will just type mountains, and I'm going to go to the image tab in Google, and I'll pick the first image, and I'll right click on this image and say copy image address. To be sure I copied the right image address, I'm going to click on another tab and paste the address I copied and press enter. Yeah, you can see it's opening that image for me. So this is the right address that I need to download that image. I'm going to come here and put that image in a string here in the get method of request, and then I'm going to store the image on my local computer. So to do that, I will open for write, open with, so I'm going to call it image1.jpg. That's what I want the image to be. And then I'm going to do wb, which is as file. And then I'm going to write into the file the image. The image has a parameter that will give you the content, that will put the content, the byte content, into the file you're about to write into, and that is called content. So this image.content will download the image from the internet and will write it into this file. Another way to check if the download is well done is just to do a print, because when you do request.get, it returns you the status code of the request you just made. So if I do img, it's going to return the status code of the request. If it is 200, that means it downloaded the image. So this is the code. You import request, you get the image from the internet, you open the file where you want to store the image, and then you write the image to that file, and then you print to know if the image was successfully downloaded. So I'm just going to come here to my terminal, go to where my file read.py is, and then run the file python read.py. Yeah, you can see response 200. That means it actually downloaded the file and put it in here. So to check that, you can look for the file here. You can see image1. If you click on image1, it should give you the file. And if you want to see the image, maybe you want to see it in your folder. If you're using VS Code, just right click anywhere in the folder and say reveal in Explorer. And this is the folder where the image is stored. You can see the image here, image1.jpg. I can double click it to see it. Same way it opened in VS Code. This is the image downloaded directly to my local folder.